Hello friends, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be reviewing Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This came in my very first OwlCrate subscription box for the month of January. You can check out my unboxing video if you're interested. I'll go ahead and link it in the description. So modern day New York is the most recent setting of a contest called the Agon. As punishment for a past rebellion against Zeus, every 7 years, 9 Greek gods are pulled into mortal bodies to be hunted over the course of 7 days by the descendants of ancient Greek heroes. The hunters in these bloodlines have the chance to kill a god, and by doing so, inherit their power and immortality until the next Agon, where the cycle repeats and the new gods themselves can be hunted. Lore Perseus is the last surviving member of her house, and she wants to leave the Agon and its brutal world behind after her family was murdered by hunters of a rival house the last time it took place. But as the contest comes around again, she's approached by her childhood friend Castor Achilleos, who she believed to be dead, as well as the goddess Athena, one of the last surviving original gods. Athena is badly wounded and comes to a reluctant Lore with an offer: shelter and protection while she heals in exchange for killing the god responsible for her family's deaths. Which will be stronger, her desire to escape and have a normal life, or her desire for revenge? I love the concept and mythology behind this story. It's not really a retelling, but Alexandra took elements of Greek mythology and epics and used them to create an original story set in the modern day. I would say that at times it's a little more graphic and violent than other YA books I've read. Not like excessively so, there's plenty of blood and violence in YA fantasy really, but there were some pretty brutal moments in this book that really stood out. I just wish that this was done differently. So the book is split into 5 parts, and the first part, which is the longest, felt like one huge info dump. I wish that the author had found a way to better show the reader all these things rather than just tell the reader. And there are certainly intense moments of action and fighting for sure, but so much of this book to me felt like the protagonists running away from things and like trying to stay hidden. It didn't seem to me that there was a whole lot of like purposeful action. Most of what the main characters did felt reactive, and you know, like our heroes were always on their back foot, if you get what I'm saying. Lore was cool, and I liked how she's constantly fighting against this intense psychological conditioning she went through as a child raised in a misogynistic and battle-centric culture where the concept of kleos, which is basically glory through great deeds, is everything. But I didn't actually feel a connection to her or any of the other characters. Her relationship with Castor is a big part of the plot, and he definitely just felt like a random person that I only sort of cared about. It might have been helpful to have some POV from him and some other characters, but the book is written exclusively through Lore's POV. My favorite character was probably her friend Miles, who is a regular normal person, who thankfully plays a role throughout the story and is more than just a stand-in for the reader, which he is a stand-in for the reader, especially at the beginning during the info dumpy parts. And this might just be a quirk of me as a reader because I've mentioned things like this a lot, but there were like constant little passages using various colorful and imaginative imagery to describe Lore feeling anxious or fearful, that kind of thing, to the point where it stood out to me and was noticeable. I know that describing things like that is important, can be important to set the mood or to stress something and just to not just repeat yourself over and over again, but it so often felt overly dramatic and unnecessary to me, and every time it happened, which was frequently all throughout the book, I would just silently like point them out to myself and be like, there she goes again, dramatically feeling things. I don't know, I just wasn't a big fan about that part of the writing. I liked learning about the details and inner workings of the culture surrounding the Agon, but I didn't like the half-hearted way it felt like the protagonists were interacting with it, I guess. And it does track, you know, with Lore not wanting to be pulled back into that world, but if she had dove back into it more fully, I think it would have been a much more exciting journey for me. The big baddie, who is the god Ares reborn and goes by the name Wrath, wasn't fleshed out or present enough in the story to be a very interesting or compelling bad guy, even at the climax of the book. I wasn't a fan of the friends to lovers situation that happens between Lore and Castor. There were a few definitive moments in the book that I really enjoyed, and the rest was just kind of, eh. For a book that I went into blind and had never heard of before, I'm pleased with it. Lore wasn't bad, by any means, not a bad book, but it didn't wow me, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I loved the setting, all the world building surrounding the Agon and the gods. A really cool concept that I guess I just wish was implemented a little differently through the majority of it. But if you love YA, urban fantasy, Greek mythology, and a healthy dose of graphic violence, then you'll probably enjoy this. I also love this cover. It's gorgeous and inspired me to do a makeup look to kind of match it. I believe so this is the OwlCrate version of the book. I believe the other version is white. The background isn't black, but it's white. So the black kind of makes Lore here / Medusa kind of stand out. If you got the January 2021 OwlCrate box and have read Lore, let me know what you thought of it. I'm not sure how well known this book is outside of OwlCrate subscribers. Let me know if you came across this book not because of that. I'm kind of curious. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.